He told me not to give up hope, and he urged me to find.
Robert Downey Jr. focused on what he called the most horrendously terrible thing that consistently happened to him. When that's what I said, assuming I embraced the cactus long enough, I'd turn into a man of a few lollies. And that my life would take on another significance, all he asked in kind was that sometime or another I help the following person, in some little manner Robert Downey Jr. has as of late focused on the haziest time in his life, and how Mel Gibson stepped in to save him from Hollywood and life overall. When no other person would, we should jump into the unbelievable story of recovery and companionship between the two Hollywood legends when Robert was going through the worst possible situation in his profession in life. Mel showed up and offered him help directing him through the Hollywood that had betrayed him, and ultimately he had the option to clear his plate and begin once again. Robert Downey Jr. drilled down into what he called the most terrible thing that consistently happened to him. And that was the year he enjoyed in jail in 1999 regarding a DUI capture. In a new genuine discussion on Dax Shepard's Easy Chair Master Digital broadcast, Robert Downey Jr. shared the tragic subtleties of his fight with substance misuse and the year he spent in the slammer because of a DUI capture and cocaine ownership energizes. He opened about what he called in perspectives as the most terrible thing that always happened to him. And that was in 1999, the year he needed to invest energy in jail regarding a DUI capture. While possessing unlawful medications during the digital recording, the Iron Man star discussed his previous substance misuse issues and being over-condemned by a furious adjudicator who sent him to North Kern State Jail in Delano, California. The Hollywood journalist detailed Robert likewise got serious about the profound cost and the difficulties he looked during this troublesome period, uncovering the cruel truth of his time in North Kern State Jail, where he was sent subsequent to neglecting to show up at a few court-requested drug tests. Downey wound up in this climate 14 days in the wake of neglecting to show up at a few court-requested drug tests. Attached to a cocaine ownership charge, he said 14 days. After the fact, I'm in a spot called Delano, which is a getting center where they choose where you will go, ostensibly the most risky spot I've at any point been a major part of my life. Since no one is assigned, Downey proceeded, in the event that they're a level 1, 2, 3, or 4 crook. Everybody's there. Robert made sense of that. The main successor at the middle felt fiendishness. And it seemed like being in a downright terrible neighborhood with no open door except for bountiful dangers. He additionally discussed how cautious he must say, okay, everybody will take your wallet, so watch it. The Hollywood star depicted the perilous climate and the sensation of sadness, making it much the same as being on a far-off planet with not a chance home. He expressed strolling onto the yard that you will accomplish over a year on. Interestingly, the nearest thing I can relate it to is being shipped off a far-off planet where it is absolutely impossible that home until the planets adjust. The Wonder Star additionally made sense of how he endured the experience, saying they were customized to, inside a short measure of time, have the option to conform to things that are apparently unthinkable, and that for him there's more regrettable things that might have occurred than being shipped off an establishment. Yet he proceeded to say that going by what he realizes, he was totally certain going to jail was the most exceedingly terrible thing that has at any point happened to him. Robert Downey had begun spiraling wild in '96 when he was captured for driving impaired, and the police found he was in control of heroin cocaine break at a 357 Magnum in 1999. He was condemned to go through 3 years in the California Substance Misuse Treatment Office and State Jail after he missed a few court-requested drug tests attached to his capture. Yet he wound up just serving a year in the wake of getting early delivery in 2000 on the state of posting bail sometime or another. I helped the following person in some little manner. It's sensible to expect that at the time he didn't envision the following person would be him. It was only after Mel Gibson was going through the very difficulty as Downey that we understood that the individual who saved Downey was Mel in light of the fact that in a strong discourse at the American Cinematheque grants Downey Jr. freely pushed for Gibson's reclamation and pardoning from Hollywood. It was then that he shared the narrative of how Gibson's help and consolation assisted him with embracing his haziest minutes and turn his life around. He guaranteed that Mel Gibson took a risk on him when no other person would when I was unable to get level-headed. He told me not to surrender trust, and he encouraged me to find my confidence he had battled with fixation for a long time, making sense of in the narrative senior that it took him 20 years to set his life up subsequent to growing up with his dad, Robert Downey Jr., who was additionally a junkie. Downey Jr. has consistently given a ton of credit to his significant other, Susan Levin, for assisting him with getting level-headed. Yet she wasn't the one in particular who loaned some assistance. Mel Gibson didn't simply assist Downey with getting level-headed. He additionally stepped in to assist him when he was unable to land with working in the last part of the 90s. Downey's checkered history implied that creation organizations were careful about him and required fruition securities on the off chance that he was cast to ensure the task got done, yet Gibson paid Downey Jr.'s protection security so he could deal with the 2003 movie The Singing Investigator. And with this help, Downey Jr. got once more into work. When Robert Downey Jr. was respected in 2011 at the 25th American Cinematheque grants, he requested that Mel Gibson present his honor and utilize the valuable chance to advocate for the then-shamed Gibson himself had gone through a decrease in 2006 when he was pulled over for driving alcoholic and conveyed an enemy of Semitic. Tirade his spiraling went on after he wedded Oksana Gregorieva, who later asserted she experienced homegrown maltreatment on account of Gibson, and he confessed to crime battery to exacerbate things for himself. Mel was likewise recorded expressing bigoted things towards individuals of color and more disdainful things about Gregorieva. In the end, Gibson was projected out from Hollywood, having gone through something almost identical, and having been offered a hand by Mel, Downey chose to bat for himself. Thus he started his acknowledgement discourse by saying, "I requested that Mel present this honor to me for an explanation, since when I was unable to get clear-headed, he told me not to surrender trust, and he asked me to view my confidence it didn't have as his or any other person's for however long it was established in pardoning Downey Jr. then." At that point, recounted to the crowd the narrative of how he was unable to get employed and how Gibson cast him as the lead in a film that was initially planned for Gibson himself. And Downey said that Gibson likewise gave him lodging and food, as of now, and advised him to embrace the ugliest pieces of himself, calling the cycle embracing the desert flora to turn his life around. Robert Downey likewise said that when Mel Gibson helped him during his extreme period, Gibson said that all he asked in kind was that Downey Jr. aided another person. And presently, years after the fact, as Downey Jr. was tolerating his honor at the American Cinematheque grants function, he chose to help Mel, saying its explanation, ready to accept that at the time he didn't envision the following person would be him,